Hello, and welcome to the Real Estate Podcast. This is Marriage Mondays, March the 16th, 2020. Today we're going to talk about renewing your marriage vows. Stay tuned. At 25, 30, sometimes 50 years, some couples decide that they would like to renew their marriage vows, which is not a bad idea, but God's more concerned about you living those vows in real life. In other words, you can renew your vows, but it's what you do after the vows that matters to God. Even in the beginning of your marriage, what you actually do in your marriage based on what you said you would do is what matters to God. And we have to really follow the Bible on this. You can get it right the first time, or if you want to go again and get it right a second time, it doesn't matter. You have new mercies every day. You have another opportunity to get it right. Just work with your spouse to try to see where you need work and where you need to continue doing well in. If you don't, things can really get dry and old and laid back. People can feel like they don't have to do as much, but I'm telling you, you really do have to try to do what you did to get the person to keep the person. And I think a lot of times we get really slack, even sometimes don't require a lot of the other person to show us how much they care about us. That's really a sad situation because we need to spend more time sowing into our own homes as far as our spouses are concerned. It's really important that we make sure that area is taken care of. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 13, very familiar passage of scripture. Everybody's heard this over and over again, but let's really delve into it and see what it means. In verse 4, it says, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist its own way." Let's stop right there. That's a lot to take in, but think about it. It's patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. Those 4 items right there can change the whole structure and the success of a marriage. I mean, literally, if you're patient and kind with your spouse, you are showing them true love. You're giving them grace. You're showing them the patience that you have when they make mistakes. Even when they're working hard to try to do something great and they haven't achieved it yet, you're there cheerleading and supporting them. That's being patient. Being kind means you put an effort into showing them your care for them. You're doing things that are not even required of you, if you will, because you just love and care for them. God does this for us, so we should show that to our spouses. It does not envy or boast. You don't go around talking about how great you are and how great the things that you have done are. You don't spend time lifting yourself up, putting yourself on a pedestal, or worrying about what other people have, and you're focused on trying to have that yourself. You're not envious, or you don't boast. You're not arrogant or rude. You don't think that you know everything, and you don't treat people in a manner that's disrespectful, especially in your own home. You don't insist on your own way all the time. You can't have it your way. You don't. And in a marriage, you cannot be spoiled. It does not work. It always tears the marriage down. When one person insists on their own way, they're focused on their own ideals, their own patterns, the things that they want, and they're not really concerned about the other person, those relationships fall apart a lot quicker than other relationships that are just having minute problems. That is actually a major problem. The rest of the scripture said is not irritable or resentful. You have to be able to control your emotions and how you feel about things. You can speak your mind, and the Bible does say be angry and sin not, but you can't resent a person for every mistake they've made. You can't walk around with that. You can't walk around slamming dishes and making it known how upset you are all the time. You're only going to create a place where it's like walking on eggshells, and then no one's really able to talk and resolve any issues because everybody's so irritable. Verse 6, it says, it does not rejoice in wrongdoing. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, meaning you're not happy that somebody is doing wrong and failing. It rejoices with the truth. When someone's down, you don't keep them down, you help them get up. This is what you had vows for, is to help one another, to grow together, to exceed. You want to exhort, you want to push up your spouse, you want to help them to be great, you want to support them. You're behind them 100%, not just when you feel like it. Love bears all things. It believes all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. Skip down to verse 11 and it says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. That's what you have to do in a marriage. You have to look to support and help the other person, your spouse. And you have to give up your childish ways. Things that are not helpful or beneficial to the life of your marriage has to go. And lastly, it says in verse 13, and everybody's familiar with this scripture, it says, so now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Everyone knows that. The greatest is love. 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sin. That is your goal. We're all going to sin. We're all going to fall. We're not going to do everything correctly. But the main thing is that we cover one another in love. That's how you really renew your vows and you keep a happy marriage. I hope you got something out of this today. Be blessed, grace, and peace.